Okay, so let me ask you guys a question. Does anybody know that this movie is coming out, let alone exist? Because the marketing campaign for this movie has absolutely been non existent. I felt like 2 months ago I would see this trailer in theaters like all the time, and then as of recent, it just disappeared. Like, Speak No Evil literally played that trailer so many times up until the release of the movie. It's like you really could only know like it was coming out. But like this movie, I barely saw any ads on TV for it. Like there's almost damn near no promoting going on whatsoever for it. Does anybody, are they even proud that they made this movie? Are the creators even proud of this project? Who knows? But look, regardless, this is Lord of the Rings animated version. Lord of the Rings, what is it? The War of Rohirrim. I don't know if I can say that. Sorry, guys. We're just gonna say the War of R. That shows how much of a Lord of the Rings fan I am. I love the trilogy though. Hey guys, it's your guy in the chair here, and look, this is my review for Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. I'm not saying that right, that's okay. And it's starring Gaia Wise, Christopher Lee, Brian Cox, Miranda Otto, Sean Dooley, and it was directed by Kenji Kamiyama. And basically our story, as simply as I can put it, follows a young girl. She was a young girl and a young boy at the time, where basically they grew up together, and then at some points in times it became time for the girl to be married off to somebody to make the bloodline stronger. You know how that goes in the old days. And basically the young boy's father pitched to the king, played by Brian Cox, that his son should marry his daughter, and they reject. And then what ends up happening is Brian Cox ends up killing the guy's dad. So the kid, who she had been a childhood friend of her entire life, now becomes a mortal enemy. And oh my God, that was a really good way of explaining the plot. Okay, that is the best way I can explain the plot, and that's all you really need to know. Now, before I get into my thoughts on this movie, I need everyone to know that while I have only seen all three Lord of the Rings movies once, I have watched them all in one sitting. I watched all of the extended editions over COVID, and it is to this day the best trilogy I have ever seen in my life. Those movies are all 3+ hours. I think Return of the King is 4, and I promise you there was not a single minute wasted in that binge. It is truly the greatest trilogy I've ever seen in my life. I love those movies. And I can't necessarily I am a big fan of the movies, but like I said, I only seen them once. But however, I really remember them very vividly, because how could you forget an experience like that, especially watching them all in one sitting? I could never, it was so awesome. I am actually very glad I get to say I saw all three of those movies in one sitting. It was a hell of a weekend. It was amazing. But regardless, I am a big fan of the Lord of the Rings movies. And when it came to this one here, I didn't necessarily set my expectations very high, because the trailers didn't necessarily present to me anything as far as them trying to either start a new trilogy or build new worlds here. They were really just trying to tell a story of something that happened in the past, and just release something because a director wanted to be able to tell his version of this story in an animated way. And that's cool. So I accepted it for what it was. Now, I will say this. I think this movie is extremely average on all parts, for the most part. Like the voice, I'll say this. The best part of the movie is Brian Cox as the king. Brian Cox as the king. The king is not only a badass character. His name is King Helm. Yeah. Not only is he a very badass character, but Brian Cox, of course, as you know, Logan Roy in Succession, it just does a tremendous job at playing this character. His voice acting is very good. As far as everybody else in the movie, I felt like the voice performances were good. The guy who plays Luke Pasqualino, who plays Wolf, the antagonist in the movie, he does a very good job. His character does become very annoying at times, just because he is so arrogant and hell-bent on getting revenge that he is truly making the dumbest decisions in the world. But it's a part of who his character is, so I can't really fault him for that. I just felt like, for me personally, this movie was just okay. Like it was cool. Like I didn't necessarily, there was literally nothing about this movie that wowed me, not even the animation. And honestly, I will say that I am not trying to discredit animators at all, because it is not easy to bring something like this to life. Animators don't get enough credit that they deserve, and at all, in my opinion. And while this animation did not necessarily stand out to me, however, I do still feel like I have to shout out the animators, because y'all work so criminally hard to bring stuff like this to life, and it's not easy. I'm not going to sit up here and act like I can do something like that, so I'm not going to. Kudos to the animators. However, like I said, everything personally is like everything about this movie is just pretty average to me. Like nothing necessarily stood out. Nothing necessarily, like, in my mind, truly has me going, oh man, I should probably recommend this to people. I really think y'all should go see this thing. Like, I truly think this is a movie, whether you see it in theaters or see it at home, it's the same experience. Regardless, you're probably better off just watching it at home. This is a movie where, for me personally, the best way I can sum it up is it's entertaining enough to at least be watchable while you're watching it in theaters. However, the movie is not memorable enough for you to care nor want to be thinking about it at least 1 or 2 days later. Like, you're literally, like, this movie probably won't even come up. Like, literally after I finish this review, probably won't ever think about this movie again, unless like somebody brings it up in a conversation. But for me, this movie just really is not memorable enough to care about after 1 or 2 days. It's truly just okay. It's decent. The pacing of this movie is kind of crazy, because it goes fast. Because the actual story itself, when it's building to that, and the tension or the relationship between I think her name is Hera and Wolf, when it comes to their dynamic and the war that is going on, when it comes to the buildup of that is very interesting. But then the movie just gets really slow at one point, then it gets really fast during the war stuff, then it gets really slow again, then it gets fast during some other action sequences, then it gets really slow again. So it's just really hard to keep my interest throughout this entire time, because the slow parts are really slow. And beyond that, I think the action sequences are pretty cool. Me personally, guys, this is just it's just a very meh kind of entry in 2024. This is a movie that I think is really forgettable. Not a lot of, like I said, it's not a bad movie at all. It's just truly, there's nothing memorable nor nothing that truly stands out about this movie to truly make me remember it or want to remember it at all. I can truly say I saw it and it was decent, and I had a good time in the movie. I didn't have a bad time. At some points I was literally trying to fight off. During this, like I said, when the slow moments of the movie get slow, I'm sitting there trying to fight off sleep. And I did a good job because I stayed up through the entire movie, thank goodness. But it was just, the slow parts are really slow. And I just personally don't think they ever really do a good enough job character development wise or world building, not necessarily world building wise, because it is Lord of the Rings, but at the same time this is taking place before the Lord of the Rings that we know. I don't know if this takes place before The Hobbit either, but maybe it takes place after. No, I think it takes place before. But I truly just felt like they never truly did a good enough job in making the audience care about what was going on. I truly think that they just released it and had the characters play out this story, but I never truly felt any empathy for the main character, especially the main protagonist of the movie, Hera, who played by Gaia Wise, who actually did a very good job with her voice performance. But I truly just don't feel anything for her character. I don't care. Like, they don't do a good enough job for me to actually care about what's going on. The only character that truly stands out to me throughout the entirety of the ensemble is the king and the wolf character at some points in times. But mainly it's due for the wrong reasons, because like I said, he becomes very annoying and arrogant at some points in times. But look, overall, guys, this is a meh movie. It just exists. This is a movie that just exists. And honestly, if you watch it, you won't necessarily hate it, but I don't think you'll necessarily be raving about it either. You'll just be stuck in a kind of neutral mode as I'm in right now, because I can't necessarily find like the excitement about this movie, because I don't have any, nor do I have any like bad energy or bad juju towards it, because it's not a bad movie at all. It's just okay. It's just average. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes that's just what happens with movies. And honestly, that's really all I got for you guys. So for all those reasons and so many more, I'm going to give Lord of the Rings: The War for the Roy. I don't know. I still don't know how to say that. I'm going to give it a 2.75 out of 5 stars. Okay, guys. So Craven the not Craven the Hunter. Lord of the Rings: The War of the Rohirrim. What did you? Have you seen it? What did you think about it, guys? Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and so much more. Look, this is your guy in the chair. More content coming to you soon.